They want us to build a character each based on a Disney princess.
You know how we like our Disney references. I think I'm going to build my very own Pocahontas.
Not one of the more popular princesses.
Why?
I don't know why. Ask the people.
Why?
Sean's character build process, step one, right? I go and I find a character concept that intrigues me. So for me, the Disney princess that I chose was Rapunzel. Of course you did.
And thematically,
The best one.
thematically,
When
archfey. I think Grandmother Willow could be an archfey.
Like if I want that and want to use Eldritch Blast,
Like agonizing blast. Split ends.
Agonizing Blast. You haven't washed your hair in how long?
Oh, hey.
Hey,
How's it going?
good.
Fantastic.
Decent.
Oh, decent.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Fantastic.
we keep searching. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Wonderful.
Powerful.
Muy bien.
Oh, are you Bonita?
Très bien. Yeah. Fantastico. They say. It looks like the show must be getting more likes and subscribes and stuff because Chauncey has increased our budget.
Yeah.
Check out that light.
Whoa.
Right, the lights are back on.
The tome is illuminated.
So I know, right? What's in there? I don't know. I've never checked.
I've also actually never checked.
No. At this point, I'm afraid to.
Oh, I'm illiterate.
I can tell.
Oh.
I guess I have to read the note then today.
yeah, technically.
Today's note reads, attention, read out loud exactly what is written on this note or be destroyed and replaced. Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips, the show where we talk about D&D or else. Welcome to a very special episode of the show. Inspired by a builder who may or may not be named Bob, we have asked ourselves a question. Can we do it? Yes, by our number 414, yes we can.
Okay, we're positive today.
And we're going to do it in front of you.
Ooh, cool.
Ooh,
Ooh, how we fell in love.
voyeurs.
Part 2.
What are we going to be doing? We're making characters in the Caffeine and Cantrips way.
Oh.
Bringing you behind the screen and into our mental sandboxes to join in the fun. So grab your puddle jumpers and come on with us as we break down our builds.
We're like making a character
We'll see.
between the sheets.
I mean, maybe Byron number 413 did.
Oh, well, at least he can read.
Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of Caffeine and Cantrips.
Yet another. You
Yet
love it.
another.
I love it. We love it.
We do. Apparently, you guys do love it because we have been getting sort of fan messages,
Yes.
apparently.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of you out there have been saying, hey, you guys, been talking about building characters and what's a meaningful character and like how Byron does things differently, Sean does things differently. We would like to see sort of more in-depth, sort of like a how-to, step-by-step example of how we actually go about building our characters. So I guess
Let's do that.
we're going to do that today.
Yeah.
And the challenge was they want us to build a character each based on a Disney princess.
You know how we like our Disney references.
Well, I think they've heard that I like Disney. So they're like, fine, make a Disney.
Make it Disney. At least he knows what that is.
Right, you don't know anything else. So we're going to be doing Disney princesses.
So reductive. Yes. I'm excited.
Yeah?
Let's do some Disney princesses.
Don't be too excited, though, because not like that. We're going to do it by creating a
Right.
D&D character.
Yeah.
And I guess the challenge was to choose a recognized official Disney princess, because there's a lot of them that aren't official, apparently.
R.I.P. Tinkerbell.
The character will be, sorry, Princess Leia. Sorry, Xenomorph Queen. You're a queen. You're not a princess. So anyways, needs to be a Disney princess. They need to fill the party role of striker or damage dealer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They can be any of the unboxed archetypes that we talked about in earlier episodes.
Oh, okay.
And they want us to build up to level 3.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
I guess level 3, it's where they sort of take off, right? So,
well, that's kind of one of the first quote unquote spike levels, but it's also where you can make a lot of kind of major changes that really start to impact your character with subclasses. I really
feel like level 3 is really where they come into themselves as characters.
Oh.
Mechanically.
Potentially.
Some
of you builders out there don't get going to like level 10 or 11.
Right.
Why don't you?
So
hurry that up a little bit. No, I like that prompt. It's fun. It is a fun little exercise to try and do it, which of course will magnify and blow away out of proportion in a weird way. Because that's what we do.
Not on purpose. It's just who we are.
It is who we are. But I mean, I suppose you always go first. I'm going to go first.
Do I always go first? Let me know.
50% of the time. Every time Sean goes first. I'm going to jump into this then. So I think I'm going to build my very own Pocahontas. That's the one that I'm going to pick.
Not one of the more popular princesses.
Why?
I don't know why. Ask the people.
Why? Why don't you jump in the comments and tell us?
Yeah. But the popular ones are like Belle.
Belle's awesome.
Ariel.
Yeah.
Right? And then like the legacy ones were like Snow White. Aurora. And
right. Where they got their starts.
I think by box office numbers.
I think, I don't know what it is. I suppose I'm inclined across the spectrum. I like the idea of Pocahontas. I like the idea of Mulan. I like Merida. Maybe I'm just on kind of that fighting spirit in there. And as a striker or damage dealer, that fits very well. So I guess I have to start if I'm building.
What do you start?
Let's ask the question then, because we like to say you got to start with a lot of questions when we're building it conceptually, right? Because then you develop the answers. So, to quote the line, "What is my path, Grandmother Willow? How will I know it?"
Grandmother Willow. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about another Willow. Willow.
Or Buffy's Willow.
Yeah, small person.
No, this one's a tree, and a grandmother apparently. No, we've got a tremendous amount of lore and story behind each of the Disney princesses.
Surprisingly.
This one in particular, I think, has a tremendous amount of checkered history.
Some controversy. Because she's based off a real life person.
She's based off of a real life person, and in her story, we're starting to see, if we look at the real version of her, that it's really told from the perspective of John Smith. And we don't know if John Smith is a reliable candidate to narrate these things, because he wrote a bunch of things that I'm not going to dig into, because the scope was Disney princess. So
not real life figures.
While I know that there's a lot of potential issues with what's going on, what I wanted to focus on with this and establish the scope of what I'm doing to be the strong, bold, kind of brave, courageous, perhaps might be the better term than brave, but woman.
Because brave would be Merida.
Yeah, that's a yes. Yes, it would. No, I want to look at the positive attributes that the character has in the story that it is presented in the movie. I'm going to, yes, I know I'm taking the nicest version of this, but there's a lot that we can do there because of what it implies and what it talks about.
Okay.
Through the story building, the background, and the lore behind what it presents.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump into that side of it. So those are the puzzle pieces that I'm going to start to collect. And of course, we have to do our research. Now that we've set the scope, I should probably remember what's in the movie, right? And all the kind of stuff and all the little nuance and whatnot. And there is a lot of very interesting things in this movie. Like, I don't know if you remember all of the like prestidigitation and like magical stuff that happens all throughout the movie.
Yeah.
That isn't caused by the spirits or the spirit of like the colors of the wind or Grandmother Willow and any of that stuff.
Right.
There is in fact a lot of things that like the elders do as we go through the scenes in the village where Pocahontas lives for the very short amounts of time that she's there and not running around in the wilderness. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and that informed me as to what her background might be, what she grew up around, who were her teachers, who were her mentors. And of course, we understand and we know that she's got a wild and adventurous spirit.
A lot of them do, the newest princesses.
Well, and this is an older princess, which is kind of interesting, right? And as far as the progression of timeline and the progression of storytelling. And so we go back, and like I said, when we're asking questions, we're doing this research about what she's growing up around and with, and she immediately in her story in the movie is presented with the possibility of marriage, of a stable, secure, very calm, placid life. And immediately she rebukes it, right? Immediately she fights against that kind of thing and goes out and has a little jaunt in the river and goes and seeks counsel from her friends.
Hangs out with the wrong crowd.
No, the right crowd at this point. Definitely the right crowd. Yeah, they have not landed quite yet.
Hanging out with the local corner 7-Eleven.
The Combini.
The Combini?
Yeah.
That's Lawson's over there. Oh, there's 7-Eleven over there.
Yeah.
They call it 7, though. Just 7.
Just 7. That's good, because it's open 24 hours, as it should be. There's a lot of questions. And so when we go back and we start thinking about how we do this, I need to bring in and understand some of the mental characteristics, because those will inform my actual mechanical decisions later.
That's interesting. We approach it similarly.
Well, we talked about it enough.
Yeah.
But I start with kind of creating what it is that is the intangible to form my base of knowledge so that I can then create a structure out from it.
Okay.
And so when we want to look at how do we keep the character grounded, how do we make the character matter, we have to build those kind of mental attributes, the goals, the motivations, even kind of their ambitions, the why as to what they do. And so I looked at kind of what happens in her story and, you know, perhaps a goal that she has in this story. Let's say it didn't go exactly, because I'm drawing inspiration from.
Right. You're not
so I'm not necessarily copying, but what we see is that there is a foreign force that invades her territory.
Okay.
Right? And this is very D&D-esque, right? Bandits come to your village.
Yeah.
Right? A king from a neighboring kingdom sends soldiers over across.
Orcs raid your village.
Orcs raid your village. There's so many things. A lich pushes its undead minions out towards your peaceful valley. A foreign force comes in and forces the inhabitants there to react according to their natures and their values. Right? And in this case, she does not respond immediately like a striker would. She doesn't go out there and start cutting down them white folk. She gets out there, and what she does is she initially attempts to secure understanding and knowledge.
Okay.
Right? She attempts to, through a form of advice, learn to listen with her heart. Right? And speak the language of her heart, as opposed to seeing what the predisposition or preconceptions are of the othering that is going on in the story. And so the goal then is perhaps to protect her way of life, protect her family, protect her tribe, protect her village, protect her lands, or you could go even farther just to say protect a kind of peaceful nature, or protect that natural balance that her people have found. So something arguably very elven.
Okay.
They're finding that symbiosis with nature, right? And so that, like I said, these thoughts are
like
trying to like not drow at all. But it is in fact a very interesting idea when we talk about protecting, right? And how we go about that. So the goals are to do that. Maybe Maybe there is an extension that we can get into beyond motivation and the why through the build, but her homeland is important to her. Her culture is important to her, right? So she wants to protect those things. So with that kind of an understanding as well, that there is a kind of seeking for balance or a maintenance of the status quo. There's a reason she does not want to become an adventurer.
Right.
But adventure is going to be thrust upon them.
Right.
So it also pushes, like I said, we've got a goal now to protect your culture, protect your status quo of what's happening, right? The motivation behind it is she has friends there. She has family there. She has nature spirits. A raccoon, Miko, right? The hummingbird, who I get Flit is his name.
Okay.
Even Grandmother Willow, as I previously. So we know that she has adopted a deep connection to not only the spirits of the land, but the inhabitants there. So she's got a very diverse background of individuals that she's got connections
Just her?
to.
Or do the other members of her families have also can see?
I think, at least I want to think, that they all do.
Okay.
Obviously, she's exceptional because she's our protagonist.
Right.
And she makes decisions that go counterintuitive to what the rest of them do. But in this case, I would like to think that they all have little friends. They probably don't.
Like, oh, there she goes, talking to a tree again.
Talking to the trees. But
those stories are just metaphors.
It's interesting because we also see later on, and this is perhaps a little sneak peek, we also see later on that John Smith reacts to Grandmother Willow. So Grandmother Willow is actually a thing.
Right.
Right? And John Smith has a conversation with it. Anyway, whatever. But with our goal and our motivation to protect the homeland, to create that sense of security, to protect those of the land, the animals, and the peoples there, we get more to the intention. And the intention, I think, comes from an intent to use charm or persuasion first before going straight to blows. This is not a berserker style.
Okay.
This is very much a do me a wrong and I can see it return back to you. Dun, dun, dun. When we're looking at this, I found it really interesting to see this kind of clear line. And so in what I was going to build, there's a statement in one of her songs, Just Around the River Bend, where you can never stand in the same river twice. And I like that metaphor for when we are building our PCs as well. Right. Because we can run the same stories with different characters and they become new stories.
Right.
We can run the same characters in different stories and they're different characters. Right? There is no perfect replication of anything.
Right.
And so when we had this prompt, I was like, I really like that we do have the ones that we have because it means that this retelling is going to be unique.
Right. Even though it's all oatmeal.
Even though it's all oatmeal. Thanks for taking the wind out of me sails.
No, it's steel cut.
It's steel cut.
It's not just oatmeal.
Hell yeah, it's steel cut.
All right. Steel cut oats.
So we build through that. Obviously, like I said, there's a heavy level of protection. There's a heavy level of awareness, heavy level of communication, and an intuitive sense of what's going on around. So I wanted to keep those things strong for her.
Okay.
Additionally, I wanted to set her core values. Before I chose kind of an alignment, which was going to be good.
Right.
Definitely from her perspective, good.
Right.
But in this, I wanted to set core values. And so the core values are peace and understanding over life. And more importantly, moral virtue over ethical virtue.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So my choices matter more than going with the status quo.
Like your feeling of what's right and wrong.
Correct.
Over the rules.
More important of the rules, right? Okay. And when you feel something is right, you need to do that.
Right.
And with that, I thought, okay, well, this is the perfect place to start feeling out the hindrances. Let me build some resistance and friction in the character. Now that I have a direction and an understanding of what's important to them, what their hierarchy of needs are, what the core values are of that character, now I can extend that further and go into what is working against them. Are those same values hindrances in how they act against the world, right? So in this case, I did choose, because I know that we talked about previously, like physical hindrances, emotional hindrances, story hindrances, and character hindrances.
Yep.
I only went with 2 of them to start off in the character creation process, but I chose an emotional one and a character one.
Okay.
So for emotion, mirroring the values, peace and balance versus emotionless expansion and greed. So what we see here and what can mirror into D&D is there is a general, a lieutenant, a king, or whatever, who has possessed that greed, that want of more.
Right.
And they send their lawful individuals of their society out to do evil and wrong. And the individuals are not responsible necessarily for their actions because they believe in ethical virtue of being lawful, of following their rules.
Right.
And so they are not the bad guys in their own ideals. But in our story, they are the antagonists to our protagonists.
Yes.
Right? And so while they are not necessarily wrong, what they are doing is wrong to us.
Yes.
Right? And so that becomes very difficult when you have a completely different set of values. So when peace and natural balance is more important than strip mining and resource collecting and gold and whatnot, which, I mean, both societies need these things. They need a level of balance, but they also need resources for their people.
I think I see where this character is going.
Just around the river bend. But so many good quotes. Anyway, that's the emotional contradiction that she has to deal with.
Okay.
Is that everyone around has kind of a duty that they have to deal with. And in this case, the primary concern is capitalism or expansion, but it's an emotionless expansion. The people who are doing it are not necessarily responsible for that. Now in D&D, it can be raiders, it can be orcs, like we said, it could be gnolls, it could be a plethora of things that are causing these issues. But in this case,
STIs
stands for
sexually transmitted.
Okay.
Emotionless expansion.
Yeah, no, it comes in where we have that kind of natural order versus that expansion. And what I'd like to think is that there's an emotionless expansion. Somebody told somebody to go do something. And so the people that you're dealing with aren't necessarily primarily responsible, much like dealing with the minions before you get to the lieutenants or the captains or the kings of the generals, right?
Yeah.
You have to work your way up that hierarchy. And fundamentally, that hierarchy is powered by greed. Ultimately, then, as the character flaw, with the core values being a peaceful nature first, versus that kind of onslaught of emotionless aggression, there is difficulty when you start dealing with an individual's moral virtue over the camouflage of ethical virtues. Right. Everybody just goes along to get along. And then when two sides collide, nobody's quote unquote at fault. Right. Because we were just doing our thing. You were just doing your thing. No, it's more important to say in this story, the individual is responsible for their actions. And we can show you why choosing the better path is better for everyone. If everybody commits a little good, everybody wins. So.
But not as much.
Even more. Even more.
Oh, yes.
So I set those things, I set the mentality first. All of that is to say, essentially, I figured out their why, what they feel, what they want to do, and kind of some leading ideas of what their background informs me that the character should be like. And with that, I get into kind of that transformational part where I start turning the conceptual into rules and mechanics. And for this stage, as Radcliffe said, dig up Virginia, boys. It's time to break into the books. Get the shovels dirty. It's time to start making decisions.
I know. One decision you have to make, though. That's really important. Is whether to push that like and subscribe button.
Instead of a shovel, use your finger. And your mouse.
Just, hit subscribe. Hit the like. Hit the follow. Hit the I love you. One more of the stuff. The comment buttons.
And keep sending us all that DMs. We really like actually seeing them. And this episode brought to you by the letter D and M.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, we've been getting more and more interaction from you guys, so it's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
You guys actually want to watch us.
Tell us what you think the editor should do as well. Maybe we'll get them out here one day.
That dirty editor.
Editor. Anyway.
Yeah.
So now that I have conceptually started
Yep.
and I have my idea of what I've got going on, like I said, it's time to put rubber meets the road, shovel meets the dirt.
Mhm.
I think it's best because there's so many options to start with. I think what you have to do is you have to start with the low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
And as always, like we recommended previously, I want to work forwards and I want to check backwards with what I've done to make sure everything is congruent, make sure everything leads in the direction I want. Because I have some strong ideas about the core values, about the motivations and whatnot. I want to make sure I'm in line with that.
Okay.
Obviously, for backgrounds, it's very quickly and very easily narrowed down in this story to be inspired by this. To either Far Traveler or Outlander. Now, while both of them provide really good mechanical choices for this, Far Traveler is insight and perception, both very good when you're reading people that you cannot speak with and or perceiving the world around you. Outlander, athletics, survival, super good.
Yeah.
I would pick which background depending on what the campaign held for me. So in session 0 or in conversations with the other players, with the DM, are we going to be dealing with more rural and expansionary and kind of looking at that exploration pillar?
Okay.
Right? Then I would want to do that. I'd want that Far Traveler kind of aspect versus the Outlander. I might want that more for going into an urban, where both of them present an exotic person coming in. Neither really stray too far from the mark, though. I think they're both kind of nail it. Keeping that exotic, different culture, different background, different understanding of the world, and allowing you to present that nice and clean. So great proficiencies there. Super awesome and super on point with. They're all good proficiencies.
Right. Come on, Bront. They're all good proficiencies.
They are all good. And with this level 3 thing kind of threw me a little bit for a loop.
Me too.
Do we go all the way or do we multi-class and create something more customized and true?
Right. Do you optimize for like mechanics or do you optimize for sort of faithfulness to your concept?
Faith. I got faith. I
have faith.
I had no question in my mind. I presented a question to you, but I had no question in my mind. This is 100% going to be a multi-class character.
Yep.
100%. I get to build it to level 3. I get to flavor it. I get to change it so that it makes sense. There is no single 3-level kind of not dip, but character progression that I saw that speaks true to what I wanted to do when using this as inspiration, when using Pocahontas as inspiration. And super interesting. My immediate thoughts were to kind of have that frontiers, explorer, but still very sneaky, right? Combat isn't the first idea.
Okay.
It's not about sneaking up like the braves and the warriors of the culture that they had.
Right.
Where they did just actually come back from war. Successful battle, in fact. And the braves wanted to celebrate such a thing.
Right.
Pocahontas is not that.
Right.
Still a striker. So I was like, it's got to be Ranger Rogue. No, it's got to be Rogue. I want those expertise for stealth. I want to sneak around. I want to think that their practice in the art of merciful killing for animals, like proper hunting, right? Swift and painless.
Right.
For the animals, for their enemies. So that double rogue dip, bow and arrow, daggers, right? Definitely right into that kind of flavor zone.
So two levels of rogue.
I was thinking immediately 2 levels of rogue, but Pocahontas is also a magical character. She's introduced at the top of a ridiculously high waterfall, and she's just like, I'm a jump.
All the princesses are like,
and I was like, hell, yeah, Air Genasi.
Right.
Well, I'm jumping ahead, but I was like, whoa, she just like goes for it, right? And it's like, okay, this is cool. But for that, so I was like, maybe because she doesn't like cast anything. So it's like maybe sorcerer,
Mm.
maybe get some of that bloodline magic because she's attached to the land. She's so
Tree bloodline.
she's so salt of the earth. You know, it
the raccoon bloodline.
Oh yeah, that's a different character. At least in my conception.
Trash Bandit
But
bloodline.
yeah, no. Immediately I was like, oh, it's got to be like a rogue sorcerer dip. And then
Interesting.
I thought more. I was like, maybe druid ranger, kind of nature on nature.
I was thinking druid from what you were talking about. It fits kind of well.
Well, I wanted that kind of magic, and I was thinking, with sorcerer, you could get meta magics so that everything is like subtle spell. Right? They're not actually casting, it's just coming out of them from their connection with the land and their understanding of how things work. So those were my first kind of thoughts, is a 2 rogue, 1 sorcerer, or a 2 druid to get your circle with a dab of ranger. And I'll leave you in suspense with what I actually chose just for a moment. Because that wasn't the lowest hanging fruit. Because I had to then, when looking at the classes,
the lowest hanging fruit,
decide how do I make this a true striker? And so I started looking at feats as well.
Right.
Because you got to dip into that, because one of the major options is variant human.
Yep. Everyone loves a variant human.
I didn't do custom lineage. I can tell you that right now. I didn't do custom lineage, but I was looking at variant human and feats, because feats add a ton of flavor.
Yes.
And if we're asking for flavor, we're asking to try and find that inspiration and whatnot. It was just reading. It was just reading and looking and going through that and deciding on a feat, if a feat was necessary for the vision and the inspiration.
Right.
That was a lower hanging fruit than choosing race. Because if there's not a necessary feat, then I don't have to take variant human.
Right.
Right. If I can create the feeling elsewhere.
Interesting.
Yes. So all this mechanical, confluence, all of these things are creating these nexus points. And then of course, maybe I can be a sorcerer, but be a variant human, so I can get my feat at level 1 and take meta magic adept.
Oh, so more meta magics.
So
early.
Well, no, because you don't get meta magics until third. Right?
Yep.
So I could start with some meta magic, so then she could have subtle spell off the beginning. Whereas she wouldn't have it only on a 1 sorc dip.
Oh, right. You don't just get the meta magic points.
You don't just get them. No, you get your bloodline at level 1, but you get your sorcerer's points at level 3.
You get sorcerer's points at level 2.
Oh, sorry. You get your meta magic options at level 3. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it didn't work that I was giving her, I saw meta magics in my head, but she's still 2 levels away from it.
Yes.
And so I was like, sorcerer doesn't work by itself. Maybe I need meta magic adept to steal some ahead of time.
Right.
So that I can do what I see in my head.
Not optimized, but optimized for faithfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Medium armor master was also kind of in there. What else did I have? Magic adept.
Okay.
I had in there. Observant. Lucky, you were in there. Skulk.
Lucky, of course it is.
Skulker was actually really interesting.
Okay. How does that make her the character more Pocahontas-y?
As a striker, after she's tried to talk to people, when you attack from a hidden position, you do not show where you attack from if you miss.
Right.
So this is that whole surprise ambush, right? Being one with nature. It also gives you kind of an effect like a Sylvan elf or a wild or like a wood elf gets, where light foliage can camouflage them and obscure them, and they can hide in that.
Yes,
Skulker also gives that, so you can kind of steal that flavor from the elf.
Bags of leaves and just.
Leaf bag instead of a smoke bomb, right? Leaf bag. That's way easier to make. No ninja training required.
Right.
That's my ninja way.
Believe it.
So I looked at the flavor of those, right? And then from that, I allowed that to percolate, because I like to let things percolate once I've written them out and I have my lists of everything in front of me so I can see it.
Yeah.
And then I decided to narrow down the races as well, in case a feat wasn't important. Because maybe I could get everything that I was getting in the feat in the race.
Right.
And it came very quickly down to 4 for me. Air Genasi, as I said, because that one swan dive.
Yep.
Gotta respect the swan
dive.
Human, of course, is the other.
Variant human?
Variant human.
Yep.
Yeah. And then half elf.
Okay.
and full elf.
For elven
But
accuracy.
probably, unfortunately, I didn't even think of that one. Because of reasons, elf, like I just said.
Right,
The
yes.
wood elf can do these things, can be one with the land. And yeah, the feats matter, like I said.
Yeah, they do.
Right? When we're talking about flavor, when we're talking about inspiration, when we're trying to more than anything be true to that goal, that's working forwards, that's checking backwards to making sure that we're in line. And so as John Smith said, come on, men. We didn't come all this way just to look at it.
So what did you come here for?
Well, I came here to stare at a whiteboard full of notes. And once I had done that initial kind of, not initial, but that full mapping. Once I had my core ideas. I had written down all the mechanical rules that I thought were interesting or could blend into that. And it was all written down so I could see it. I could start to build my hierarchy backwards so I could build out towards what I wanted.
Okay.
What was truest to my goals, what was kind of nice but not necessary, especially when we're talking only level 3.
Right.
We can get these later, but I don't need them right now.
Yeah.
Right? To get the true essence of the character, I don't need them right now. So we start nixing.
Okay.
Right? It was way easier to write extra options and then work them back rather than kind of pre-censor or pre-disqualify options earlier. Because what I knew at the end of the journey changed my perspective on what I was doing versus the beginning.
That's how we differ.
So it took having an initial concept, using that as a guide, essentially building the road, but before painting the lines on it. Right? As far as a metaphor goes. That was my idea to then when I actually started making the true decisions beyond those low-hanging fruit to just pare options down. Right. This is where I could actually make decisions about what I was doing. Boring or not, I'm sorry if this is boring, but this is super awesome to me because I like that process of like, this is more important to me than that. Gone. Yeah. This one's better than that one. Gone. Right. And it's very clear and concise when we have some of the options to turn them into the very few and the smallest amount. Right. Because then the decision becomes perfectly clear.
That really is the hardest part because level 3, there's not a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do.
So much you can do.
There's so much you can do, but there's not a lot you can do.
But there's not a lot you can do. Yeah. No, I could see easily like 7, 9, 14 versions of this character. Yeah. So good.
Like it's just the essence of the character. And that's all you can really do, right? Yeah.
And so I suppose with a better idea and a clear idea of now actually after paring everything down, what I was going to do, I would like to then introduce you to my character, Minwabi.
Oh, okay.
And a note on the names. Pocahontas was not her actual name.
Just what they called her.
It is what they called her.
Jeez.
And the reason, and this was super interesting to me and very, very informative, is they created a name, Pocahontas and her tribe, created the name Pocahontas to give to the explorers because they believed that if they gave Pocahontas' real name to them, that they would have a spiritual power over her.
How D&D lore appropriate.
Like, Fae, mother effers. This is Fae stuff right here. So combining in the elements
and
of
demons
nature.
Too, and like,
True names.
So
and
D&D,
stuff. I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that in my general knowledge.
That's in real life, though, not in the Disney.
That's in real life. That's in real life. I didn't know that there was a spiritual attachment to true names in Native American lore. And that is super cool. And I'm super happy that I learned it because I agree in that sort of weird mystical power and energy.
Byron.
You have no power here. And so not wanting to take any of her names to reference this, I wanted to have its own name because this is a androgynous name. Minwabi is androgynous. It can be male or female. And this means the child who strikes back. In Algonquin. Yes. So striker roll, Fae, land, nature. I had to go druid.
Yes.
I had to go druid. And all of the elements through the movie, there is this beautiful symmetry of the emotions of the characters being flavored around them in kind of a magical, mystical essence.
Right.
And so I would definitely reflavor everything to be a part of that. I would paint with the colors of the wind, right? I would use nature. So like primary attack and kind of mechanics is magic stone. You can pick up a pebble anywhere and you can whip it 60 feet and do 1d6 damage.
Whip it good.
That is a lethal weapon at low levels, especially when you're dealing with basic commoners.
I mean, break. You throw a rock at a person, that's already a lethal weapon.
But not 60 feet.
I suppose.
Right? That's a long way to have an accurate death.
How far do baseball pitchers throw?
Pretty far.
Pretty far.
I think I don't know. I want to say 90 feet.
Yeah. They're lethal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, they're not. They're absolutely not.
Are they not lethal?
People get hit all the time.
With their pitches, like going like 100 miles an hour or whatever?
Yeah.
Woof. Not lethal, but it's...
In fact, it's like one of the things that they do now is they wing you so you don't have to... Anyway, we're not talking about Major League Baseball. Check it out, though. Not lethal. How many people die playing baseball? 0. Except for the roids.
They reclassify those people.
They reclassify them not dead.
Not people.
Not people. They're objects
They're
now,
players.
Guys. No.
That's why they say baseballs are not rocks.
Major League Baseball. Still not lethal. I'll take one. You know what?
Yeah.
I will take a fastball from any pitcher out there who plays Major League Baseball as long as we get enough likes and subscribes on this video.
Wow. That dedication, guys.
I don't know what that number is.
Guys.
What's that, like 500 likes? And a pitcher to offer?
Okay. Gotta make that happen.
The things I do for you, the people. So striker roll.
Yep.
Had to go in this case.
Druid.
I didn't have to go, but I did because of the striker. I really wanted to go shepherd druid. I wanted to be a part of the tribe. I wanted to drop those totems.
Animal friends.
Use the spirits.
Yep.
Right. The nature and the spirits to empower and embolden my allies. I couldn't do it as the striker role. That's a bit more of a supporty role. For the pure striker, I went with stars. I wanted nature to be able to guide through the process of augury.
Okay.
I wanted the free guiding bolts. I wanted guidance in the form like she assists the ships in filling their sails with wind and all of these sorts of things. I wanted these kind of lots of little effects and a ton of cantrips in this particular way with going a full caster, because as a full caster, you can float like a butterfly and sting like a wizard. Right? Like you still, druids are still formidable when we start talking about damage. Yeah, fireball. I didn't say what size the ring was. I said I cast fireball. Absolutely. Shepherd is the way I wanted to go, but for striker, stars, extra guiding bolts, magic stones, super awesome. Later on, you get moonlight, spike growth, entangle. Like there's tons of things that you can do involving nature.
Right.
That are super awesome.
Spike growth.
My one level dip. Where do you think I went?
Barbarian?
Cool. No.
That's
can't cast spells, so you can't keep picking up pebbles and throwing them.
The wild magic one? Not the one level dip, I guess not.
I chose.
Tell me his rage isn't magic though.
Magic rage. In fact, I chose warlock.
Of course you did.
And thematically,
the best one
thematically, archfey. I think Grandmother Willow could be an archfey.
Yeah.
Or this is perhaps in the prime material, this is her grove or where she has power.
Right.
And hangs out. And this is where Pocahontas goes and kind of communes with it. And Grandmother Willow or the archfey in your story convinces the local to defend it against the other humans because they're encroaching on their land. It's them who's keeping the balance in the forest. Right. Them who's threatened. Whether this is a dryad, a nymph, any sort of powerful fey creature that needs assistance in maintaining the balance of their own space, can call on you to assist them. And by being your patron and giving you extra power, this is one of the ways to do it.
Right.
I really kind of wanted to go in my optimized version of this to probably be like a genie Dao because reasons.
Yeah. I know.
But and that would be in essence the power of the land speaking through the people to protect it, right? And your kind of synergy
Also limited
with it.
wish.
But it makes sense in the story to be not only a protector of nature,
Mhm.
but be guided by nature in a very real conversational way
Right.
to be true to the story.
Right.
She can interact with Miko. She can interact with Flip. She can interact with a tree. These are
and
all
warlocks
things-
have those invocations where you can like just talk to animals too.
They do. They get that at level 2, so that's not part of my scope.
Well, you can get a feat for that.
If I chose variant human.
Yes.
But yeah, so
But you didn't because you chose drow.
ultimately, I looked backwards, made sure that my background, my core values were maintained through this. Going with Druid, growing up in a spiritual community where other spellcasters exist, where other powerful rituals are created and used, and where a lot of kind of not necessarily combat cantrips and whatnot, but a lot of utility things are definitely super awesome and super used. It also helps that with the Archfey, you can create a presence of charm or intimidation.
Oh, there you go.
So you can be beguiling and create a position for conversation. And with that same power, you can be a frightful, fearsome savage.
Yeah.
And that's when you're barely even human. So no, ultimately in my flavor and my optimization styles that I kind of ended up in for flavor, a half elf, because I wanted that kind of real true bond with the land. Stars and Archfey was my flavor. If I was optimizing, it would definitely be a human with stars and the genie. So I could get some spike growth, bludgeoning, slide and burn kind of action.
As a bear.
Not
you
as
could
a
make
bear.
Brother Bear as a druid. Anyway, sorry.
As a moon druid. But that is not my Disney princess because it's brother and bear. So no, that leads me all the way to kind of what I built. It was deciding what the mental and the non-physical values were and the direction. And from that, creating anything that could fall into line with that. Visually, I wrote out lists, drew lines through stuff, erased stuff, got it out and away from my kind of sight, and then purified it into what I felt was the best distilled version.
Okay.
And so,
interesting.
A protector of the land, magically inclined, flavored through beautiful mystical ways so that everything is a part of the land, and maybe a little sidekick raccoon.
Yeah. You're going to have to build the character sheet out for us.
Oh.
And we'll post it up somewhere for you guys to see.
Minwabi.
Yeah. And your process too. I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that.
Let us know if you're interested in that.
Yeah. Yeah, we can make that available. Well,
somewhere.
We will make that
stick
available.
It up somewhere.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Because I just got that DM.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right to your ear holes.
Is that where you thought I would go with a Pocahontas?
I thought Druid. I thought Druid, like when you're talking about right at the beginning with like all the protection of the land.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm like, oh, Druid would be great for that.
Yeah.
And you went like the rogue.
I wanted that sneaky striker.
I was like, whoa, what?
Well, because Magic Stone is a ranged weapon, which technically procs sneak attack.
Yes.
So
is it a light? Is it a finesse?
It's ranged.
Oh, it doesn't need to be.
It's ranged.
Oh, okay.
And that allows sneak attack, especially when they can't see you because you're hidden. So a rock coming out of the thing that does 2d6, that's as much as a great sword, guys. A pebble. A great sword at 60 feet. And if you miss, potentially they don't even know where it came from.
You can kill one guy and throw the body at someone. It's a ranged weapon.
It's an object. She doesn't have Tavern Brawler.
They wouldn't even. You don't need proficiency. You can still do it, and they wouldn't even know where the body came from.
It's literally raining men. Oh god. Oh god.
How the goblin? What? Dead goblin corpses flying up from the trees.
Poor goblins.
No, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
Pocahontas.
Yeah. Pocahontas as inspiration for Moonwabi.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. I guess there's only one thing left to do.
You to go?
Before that, if you guys enjoyed Byron's little jaunt into the creation process of Pocahontas Disney princess as a D&D character,
Striker.
strike that like and subscribe button again.
Also, martial archetype.
Yeah.
I didn't say it.
It's fine.
Could have talked about that for an hour too.
Yeah. And then take a break. We're at the halfway point.
Yeah.
Go to the washroom, get some water, and when you come back, pause it. And then when you come back, unpause it. I'll talk about, I guess, the character that I decided to create.
Yeah.
In my process. It's interesting because the things we do is similar, but I was like, oh, it's different like orders. And
How we
like
get
that.
there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
cool. I can't wait. Wellness break in 3, 2, you.
well, welcome back. Hopefully you had a good pee. Now that you empty yourself out, let's fill yourself with more Disney princess.
I wish you the best of wellness, peas.
Yeah. This challenge was particularly difficult. Thanks, guys. Because we talked about it.
You're always difficult.
Because we mentioned it earlier in other episodes that I take forever to come up with character concepts, like months.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I only had like
4 days,
4 days, something like a week or something like that to do this. So it was so stressful to like.
Well, a week minus procrastination.
No, it's never like that. It's never like that. Anyways, it's not never, but
yes.
Anyways,
yes.
Because I'm the type who unlike you, starts building and then paring down.
Mm-hmm.
I have to formulate the entire sort of core concept first, and then build back from there. That's how my brain works, right? Things just come together like, oh, that'd be cool. And then like, how do I make this work now? Because I have this vision that I don't know how.
Okay.
Right. But anyways, so
I want to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I built the mentality of it and then built the physicality to match.
Yeah, it's similar.
So you go fishing, you send the mentality out there, and then you wheel the boat.
Because you started with like the character, like direction and all that kind of stuff. I actually do that last. Yeah. For me, Sean's character build process, step 1, right? I go and I find a character concept that intrigues me. So for me, the Disney princess that I chose was Rapunzel from Tangled.
Okay.
Right? And like you, I went and I consumed all the freaking the movies, the after movie, the shorts, 3 seasons of a TV show. And for those of you who haven't watched the extra Rapunzel stuff, there is a greater universe that you may not know within the Rapunzel world. Because we know in Rapunzel, she's got this hair, it's magical, right? She can heal people, she can bring people back to life with this magic. Magic comes from this sun drop. Like basically, it was a sun drop that fell from heaven.
Okay.
That went to her mother and then went to her when she got born. So she has this power through her hair, right?
Tears of the Sun, very different movie.
But in the expanded universe, this is Disney. In the expanded Tangled universe, there is also a counterpart to the sun drop, which is the moonstone opal.
Oh.
Which, unlike the sun drop, which is all about healing and light, it's darkness and destruction and death and decay.
Oh.
Which Rapunzel also sort of interacts with and gains some of the power as well.
With her hair?
Yeah.
She grounds it up and uses it conditioner?
It's crazy. No, she goes and like sucks the life force out of her friends and like out of the bad guys and so forth.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's 3 seasons of this stuff.
Truly a tangled web she wove.
Yes. So I took inspiration from the greater expanded universe of Rapunzel and Tangled.
Okay.
When I did this. So I was thinking, what exactly do I find interesting about Rapunzel as a character? But that's where I started. My sort of thought process of building a character for D&D. What I really liked about the movie, at least, was that it was almost a quintessential hero's journey, or the monomyth. That like it was structured in that way. I really like that. So there's several steps, right? There's the call to adventure. There's the refusal of that call. Like there's a reason to go adventuring,
Right.
and then them refusing it or being sort of nervous to or hesitant to go on an adventure.
Okay.
There's a meeting a mentor, which you could say is Eugene. He's the one who comes and like teaches her about the outside world.
Right. He's the guy that's trying to rob her or something originally?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And then crossing the threshold is when she leaves her tower and actually goes in on the outside world. She meets tests and allies and enemies, and it's all her adventures with like the criminals and blah blah blah. Right, fights all those people.
Figures out what a devastating weapon a frying pan is.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the next step is the
Shout out to
approach.
Leland, by the way, if you know that reference.
I don't.
Call me man.
Approach to the inmost cave is the next step, and what that is encountering her innermost fears and doubts in herself.
Oh, okay.
Right, which she does like almost immediately after she leaves her tower.
Oh, good for her.
Right.
Real self-growth.
There's the ordeal, in which she goes and she overcomes her fears and her weaknesses.
Right.
The reward is what she turns into afterwards, like what she gains from overcoming her fears.
Okay.
The next is the road back. Is deciding to go home,
Okay.
which she kind of does, like going back to her kingdom, or find her parents, because that's where she comes from.
Because she's a princess.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. The resurrection is basically on the road back. She also encounters the climax of the story. She overcomes the final boss, basically, which is Gothel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The resurrection, where she sort of
Spoilers.
comes into herself and sort of triumphs via what she has learned.
Okay.
Right. And then she returns to home with the elixir, her magic, and she changes her home in the world around her.
The elixir.
The elixir. Yeah, these are just symbols, right?
Okay. Okay.
So this is the quintessential hero's journey.
It's interesting. Mine didn't really have a full hero's journey.
Man, not all of them do,
Now that I think about
but
it.
I like it.
Choosing somebody else's hero's journey.
Right?
Woof.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Tangle because she is definitely the hero of that story as well,
Correct.
right? It's also a coming of age story,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense. I like those coming of age stories, like sort of discovering who you are,
Mm.
right, and what that means in your place in the world, right? I liked how she uses her long hair as a tool and a weapon for like everything.
Mm.
I thought that'd be a fun mechanic or something to do in D&D. I like the theme of true strength lies within,
Mm-hmm.
right? I like it that in the movie they treat magic as something special. Like her hair is super special, right? In that magic.
Yes.
I like it that her character, she's adventurous, right? She's courageous, defiant, determined, compassionate, other things too.
Not really
but-
similar.
But those are the ones, the sort of aspects, a lot of the Disney princesses are like that. The modern ones, more modern ones.
Right.
The older classic ones they're more damsels in distress.
Right.
But
I think that's the times of the progressing storytelling.
Yes, absolutely.
And being a proper role model.
yes, well, because those stories are very old. Like the Sleeping Beauty is a very old story,
Yes.
right? Before Disney came and took it.
Oh, same
Right.
thing with Little Mermaid.
Snow
right?
White. Yeah,
It's
all
Christian
those.
Andersen.
Oh,
and-
Little Mermaid's crazy. Anyways,
Pocahontas is what, 1608? 1600s.
yeah. So, but that wasn't a story. That was real life.
Yeah, well, that's when it happened.
Right.
Yes.
So I take all those concepts
The
and I'm like,
animation was terrible.
I take all those concepts that intrigue me about the movies and the character and the things there. And I'm like, okay, from here, with all these ingredients, how do I make something that's fun and solidify that into a unified vision? There's a lot of sort of seemingly unrelated things, right? I need to build it into one concept now, into one sort of character.
Okay.
So what I did next is I, using all the stuff that I thought about in step one, I started to find some D&D in-game mechanics that I find intriguing.
Okay, so to clarify,
Yes.
where does step 1 end and step 2 begin?
Step one ends after I find the character concepts
Okay.
from the movie that I like
Okay.
and in the TV show as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And once I find all the stuff that I want to sort of incorporate into a character,
Mm-hmm.
then I start on the mechanics.
Okay.
right? Taking that into account. Step
Yes.
one into account. So I was interested in, say, like, I was like, oh, the hair fighting. It's super long range, and she like grabs things and pull things and like pushes things away, and she does all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how do I do that in D&D, in 5e? I'm like, there's rope, but not that long, and it's hard to it's complicated to do that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then I thought, how about I just reflavor something? And I thought about Eldritch Blast
Okay.
as a reflavored as her hair,
Okay.
right? And if you add like Repelling Blast and Grasp of Hadar, it mimics the pushing and the pulling and grabbing things,
Right.
right? And when you say it's her hair instead of just magic, right?
Yes.
Or what does her magic look like? It looks like her hair is shooting out or throwing her hair out.
Very Sinra, but yes.
But right,
Yes.
just make it more cute because it's
Of
for
course,
fun.
because it's Disney.
Right? So that is Warlock. Like if I want that and want to use Eldritch Blast, I'm
Like agonizing blast. Split ends.
Agonizing Blast. You haven't washed your hair in how long? So that's Warlock. So in my mind, like, okay, so if I want the hair and want to use it that way, Warlock will have something that I need to incorporate that into it.
Okay.
Cool. And then I thought like, I want the she fights with a frying pan a lot.
Yes.
And it's like really awesome.
Yes.
Right? I'm like, how do I do that? I'm like, maybe if I make her a Hexblade. Warlock,
Yes.
right? I'm like, that's perfect. Cool. Hexblade Warlock. And it's a frying pan or whatever,
A
right?
shard of the shadow fowl also makes delicious eggs.
Right? And I thought the darkness of the Hexblade from Shadowfell would also mimic that Moonstone Opal. Or that Moonstone Opal? What do they call
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sun
Right?
drop, moonstone,
Yes,
opal.
thank
Yeah.
you. And the shadow and the darkness, right?
Yeah.
From there. I'm like, cool, that kind of fits. I like that. I'm like, what else do I like? I like the sun drop powers. How it
Mhm.
heals,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I was like, oh, divine? Like a celestial warlock? But I can't because I want Hexblade.
Hexblade.
So I was like, oh, what else can I do? I want to optimize a little bit. So I'm like, should I do like that means should I do if I want healing,
Yeah.
is that cleric? I'm like, but that's wisdom. I was like, oh, I got it. How about I do another charisma class? Because the first one I've kind of set as warlock.
Oh, you're super sad.
Right.
I went mad.
Yeah. I was like, exactly. I went divine sorcerer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Divine
Mhm.
subclass sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
So because you get your extra spells at level 1,
Some of them.
right?
Because you can choose from the cleric's spell list.
Well, yes, and you get extra spells,
Okay.
I think. But anyways,
Yeah.
you don't have to wait till level 3 to become a divine sorcerer. You're from level 1.
You get your bloodlines
Right.
at level 1.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you can get like Cure Wounds and Revivify. They're all on that list.
Because
You
those are
want to?
cleric spells.
Yes.
Yes.
A Sun Drop Powers, like cool. So then they're like a Warlock, Hexblade Warlock, Divine Sorcerer multi-class,
Okay.
right? Because I couldn't get the healing on my Hexblade by itself. So yeah.
No, you don't
Divine
get
sorcerer.
life drinker or anything yet. No.
And then I'm like, okay, I like the Moonstone powers, Moonstone Opal,
Yeah.
right, as well. I'm like, there's Hexblade, even though it's for the frying pan. I can also get also from Divine Sorcerer. I can also use like, what is it? Because there's a cleric spells. You also hit the darker ones too. Like
You can go an evil celestial.
no, you can still, because you can as a divine, you can pick any of the cleric spells.
I believe you have to choose evil to get inflict wounds.
Those are bonus spells.
Okay.
Yeah, you get them bonus, like cure wounds, inflict wounds,
Right.
protect you from evil and good and evil,
Okay.
neutral. Yeah,
Okay.
those are bonus ones. So you can just choose them if you want to. There's a ray of sickness, inflict wounds if you want to. On top of that,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get all of them, but these are just some ideas, right? So cure wounds for sure, probably. Maybe ray of sickness makes sense.
Because she didn't shampoo her hair.
Also, she drained the life force out of all of her friends by accident once. Yeah.
Well, at least not entangled one.
In the TV show.
She just healed.
the
Oh,
TV
okay.
show.
Extended
In this just universe, exactly.
Yes.
And then the last one, I'm like, she also has an animal sidekick. Like they all do.
Like they all do.
Like they all do.
Yeah.
Pascal, the chameleon. In D&D, you don't have to do chameleon, but I'm like, you got to have animal sidekick for Disney Princess.
Yes.
So I was like, how do I do that? Because neither sorcerers nor warlocks get find familiar.
Well, not at the beginning.
No, it's not on their spell list.
You warlocks can.
Well, they can. They can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that would take a 3-dip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? I can't do 3-dip because I'm multi-classic.
Nope. You hex chain.
So I was like, okay, then maybe I'll take Ritual Caster. Because that makes sense. Because that'll give her access to the Find Familiar rituals.
Mm-hmm.
And in the TV shows, and even in the movies, she chants, kind of sings and chants her magic spells.
Okay.
Right? And she does rituals. So that would be interesting, I thought. Ritual Caster. And I was like, well, for her to have that feat, she has to be very inhuman.
Gotta be.
So in the end, she became the basics, right? A variant human, divine sorcerer, hexblade, warlock, and that's what the main crunch of the mechanics. There's other things like backgrounds. I thought the hermit was probably great because she spent so much time off in the tower,
right? Which is
so
it's a nice version. I mean, she could also be like the haunted one.
It's true. It's true. And this is not, like, again, we're not creating Rapunzel. We're creating a Rapunzel inspired character.
Correct.
Right? So before getting into any more detail, like this is the meaty goodness of this character.
Yeah.
Like this is the important stuff. All the other stuff is sort of fluff. So I'll leave that for later. Right? To fill in the details.
Okay.
That's step 2. At this point, I'm done. Like I'm satisfied with this.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because it's all I need to be happy with this character mechanically.
Right.
Mechanically.
Right.
Like there's other stuff. Like there's
I forget that you do things in a different order.
Yeah, there's stats.
I didn't worry about stats either.
Right, like high charisma, right?
Yeah.
There's equipment, gold. I'm like, whatever. I'm not even put that in this process because I leave that all that stuff to the end. Right? I do the stuff that really matters to get what I want, to sort of fulfill that vision I have in my mind.
Yes.
Right. So we've done step 1, find the character concept, the character concept stuff that I like. Step 2 is build the mechanics around there to support that. Right. And then step 3 is I then go and try to make the character meaningful.
Okay.
Like right now, it's just a shell. Right. It's just sort of a rough idea of how it sort of works in the mechanics. Right?
Jelly donut without the jelly.
So step 3 is making your character meaningful. And that's when I start talking about or thinking about personal direction, the backstory, character directions, problems that hinder them.
Interesting.
Do that last.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. So for this character, I think about, out of all of those, but making it meaningful, I think about the character's personal direction first. So that's, I think about my personal direction.
Oh,
not the character.
You selfish
I'm
SOB.
sorry. Right, because I'm the one playing. I want to know, what do I want to get out of it?
Are you playing?
Well, it's if I were playing for me.
Yeah.
Right. So if you guys out there were making your own characters, and you're doing this, following the process, you would look for your own personal direction. Why do you want to play this character?
Okay.
Right?
What question are they trying to answer?
Yeah, or like what's your goal for the campaign? Right, what's my goal for this campaign? Basically, I'm like, okay, sure. I decided that I want to explore the concept, this idea of true love. Right, it's very Disney princess theme. Right, of
course,
true love. And then I go like, why do I want to explore this? Right. I think about, okay, well, love isn't a simple idea, right? Love is different for everyone. Like for everyone, they think of love differently.
Sean. Love is love.
It's not though. I think in Hebrew, there's like many words in love because there's different kinds of love, right? There's love for your spouse. There's love for your parents. There's love for your siblings, love for your friends, love for your country, and they're different, right? in English, we always call it love, but they're actually different types of love. Like the form is different. The meaning is a little different, right?
I would like to say that English has many words that mean love in them, but go on.
Right? Right. And then I'm like, cool. That's why, because it's not simple. I want to explore that in a little more depth to sort of understand better how I feel about those different kinds of love and what exactly it means to love in those ways.
Well, and true love.
Truly. Yeah.
Oh, to truly love or true
love in those ways. Maybe. Like, what is true love? What is true love for your parents, for your kid, for your friends, right? Is there more than one kind of true love of just you and someone that, like your lover or your spouse, right?
Sure is.
So those questions. Right? And then the last thing I talk about is love. In the personal direction is the goal, right? Why? Yes. And then how am I going to do this? Right? So basically I was like, okay, I'm going to look at different forms of love.
Yes.
Right? Think about them, and I'm going to test those theories of what true love might be and how the different forms they take and how that might change things, and test them through the character that I'm playing against the other characters, and the PC in the world, right? And just ask those questions, do those things, just to do those experiments in a safe place.
Okay.
Right? And just sort of see what comes out.
So is this in a way to play matchmaker to find the other PC's own true love while you're in search of your...
Maybe. Or maybe find a best friend. And what is that best friend? Love, right? Find a mother figure or father figure. What does that look like? Why does it look like that?
Okay.
Right? That kind of stuff. And then you test it. You test that best friend love.
Ooh, you test that love.
Right? And what does it mean?
The love betrayal cycle?
Maybe.
Ooh.
Right? But it's just sort of playing around with that idea through the character interactions.
Okay.
Right? Say, that's my personal direction. That's what I want to do personally. I'm like, cool. Now that I know what I want to do, I'm going to go. And so I'm like, let's start thinking about a backstory that maybe will allow me to do these things.
Okay.
That also fits all the mechanic stuff. Like for a reason why that this character would be like that and have all those different qualities.
Okay.
Right. So I think something I just sort of threw together because I only had a couple of days. It takes me months usually to do this, guys.
Well, like you said, you like to spin large concepts around in your kind of mental hadron collider until something truly sparks its interest to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it takes time and repetition.
Usually, like, I like this. I don't know why I like this. I think there's something great here. And I'm like, is it this? Is it that? Is it that? Until I sort of refine it down into like this core idea is what I really am interested in.
And when you're doing that by yourself, it's much harder.
Yeah.
Right? Because your degree of perspective is so much more limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some sense, you have to do a lot of it yourself anyways, because it's you, right? It's so personal. But once I have that core idea, I'm like, now I need to justify it. So I need a backstory to make it a reason for this to be like that.
Forwards, check backwards.
Yeah. So just a quick sort of thing that, and you can do whatever you want, right, out there. But for this character, I was like, okay, they grew up in a normal village with normal parents.
Not a princess.
Right? No.
We're going off script.
It's based off of a Disney princess, but not a princess herself.
Sure.
Or themselves. I don't know. Could be male too.
Correct.
Has the blood of something divine in her.
Or him.
Them. Right? And that's the divine sorcerer part.
Check out my wicked hair.
That is like divine sorcerer lore. Straight out of the books, right?
Right.
Comes out of somewhere. In the
sorcerer should totally be Khan.
Right?
The hill I will die on.
At some point when, I'm going to say she, right? When she's really young, like maybe 5 years old or something like that, by accident, her owl gets hurt. Her pet owl gets hurt.
Okay.
And she heals it.
Yeah, with her hair.
With her hair. Huh. Yeah, it glows golden, and people find out. It's like, wow, that's awesome.
Who did this?
The church finds out. It says,
oh, no.
Right?
No.
It says, oh no, we got to take this child away, right? And raise her in the church and nurture her divine powers and not let it get like sullied. Because obviously it's divine and from their god or whatever, right? And depending on what kind of church it is, it depends on the campaign you'll be playing with. So I'm going to make it general.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So from like ages 5 and up, she grows up in this church, and they protect her from everything, right? But like the devouring mother trope in literature, you overprotect the child.
Devouring mother?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
It's like helicopter parents who let nothing happen to their child and protect them from everything and never let them leave the nest.
Okay.
So it devours their own children.
Wow.
It's creepy.
Wow.
This idea. It doesn't have to be mothers, but that's just the
right.
The
That's
symbol.
the name of the trope.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, the church takes on that role, right? Doesn't let her out, but it keeps her in the church, doesn't leave the compound, right? Because you got to, first, one thing, control the power, right? And keep it for themselves, right? And not let it get sullied by all the evil out in the world, right? And they teach everything, right? But she also is able to see from her tower or wherever she lives in the church outside, and she longs for freedom because she has 5 years of being out there. She wants that. She wants it. She wants to know what the real world is like. Right? She's her whole life now. She's 18 or whatever. She's been stuck in the church.
Oh wow!
Right? I don't know, 16, whatever the human age starting age is in D&D is.
16, I think, is the earliest.
16, 18, something like that, or a little later.
16, 19.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that was a bad year.
So she really wants to go. And she's just dealing with it. Right? That's her life.
Yeah.
Right. And she gets contacted by a mysterious power. Right. And it's her warlock patron.
Oh.
Right. Which she doesn't know.
Because she's just cooking one day. And it's like, you have unleashed my power.
And basically, the patron is also the same divine force or being that gives her powers. It's the other side of the power. Right? Her divine bloodline
yes,
is also her patron.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So some sort of god of duality of
It doesn't have to be a god.
Oh, okay. Right? True.
We don't know what it is.
We don't know what
we'll let the DM play with that.
It has to be, well, yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Some sort of dual thing, though, with the powers of healing, creation, destruction.
Or maybe it's a god
just
with 2
life
facets or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 facets.
Right. And because it's maybe there's 2 parts of it, she needs to go out and it tells her to teaches her all the other side of her powers. Right. The church finds out and they get all mucky with it.
As they do.
Right? They're like, oh, now you're tainted and dirty, blah, 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 right? You should be just healing, right? Right? Just the sun power. What's all this moonstone decay stuff? So they treat her worse and worse.
So just blast.
And they judge her. They do all that crazy church stuff, right? Yeah. And with the help of her patron, she escapes, runs off to find her destiny.
Right.
Right. And to understand who she is and where her powers mean and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Right. And that's how the campaign starts.
Nice.
Right.
For her. That's her story.
That's her backstory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I've sort of justified the character now. All the mechanic stuff that I made.
Right.
Then I go, okay, I have this character, this backstory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now I need to set a character sort of direction now. I have my personal direction. I have a context for my character. But now that I understand where she comes from, now I can set what her goals are, right? What her motivation is and what her intention is. And so I was like, okay, for goals, she wants to see the world, right? To find her place and her meaning in the world. And she wants to know why she was born like this. Why her? Right? Simple. Right? And then her motivation of why, because she realized that the church is not what they said they were. Right? They were using her for her powers.
Yes.
Sort of abusing that. Maybe not everyone, but it's not what they said they were, presented them as.
They were secretly a cult, and they just kept using her to heal up their members.
Right? To rejuvenate the Pope. Pope is wrong. Sorry, the high priest.
Yes.
Or the priestess.
Correct.
Yeah. And they didn't teach her anything. Right? What they taught her about the world is not correct. They told the whole of the world is unclean and dirty. You don't want to be out there. It's better to stay in here. Right? Just like Gothel. in Tangled, right?
Mhm.
It's best to say, no, don't go outside.
It's
Don't
scary,
go.
it's dangerous.
We're not that we don't want you to go out. It's just for your
Yes,
own good.
for
that we
your
keep it here.
benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, this is not what it is, right? So that's why she's like, no, I got to go and find out what the truth is, what the world actually is, right? And what sort of my place in this world is then, right? And how she goes about doing that, her intention is basically just to following her patron because it's leading her somewhere, right? To maybe to rejoin and unify the two halves of her powers or something to become who she's meant to be.
Or the task that the patron initially wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how she intends to sort of find her place in the world.
Interesting.
Which is right in line with Rapunzel from Tangled, right? Find out who she, like a lot of the Disney princesses, like, who am I? That's the question that they all ask almost. Like, who are you and what's your place in the world? And sort of finding yourself. And that's where that coming of age story comes in. Right? So that's my character direction.
Interesting.
It's simple enough. And then I'm like, okay, now that I have that, what are the problems that hinder my character, that make it so that she can't just go and do that willy-nilly?
Right.
What?
No, please keep going.
Okay.
I was just thinking how interesting it is that this episode is bookended.
Yeah.
Like in a mirror
Yeah.
for each other.
I was like, oh, you're starting there?
Yeah,
I
I'm
end
starting
there. Yeah. So the problems that hinder my character now, I'm like, for one, characters or organizations, is the church. Obviously, they're kind of trying to catch her again.
Oh.
Right, because they either some of them want to imprison her, get rid of her. Some of them were maybe embarrassed that they had the one person that they had like sort of raised up in the public's eyes, some sort of holy emissary is dirty now, right? Or unclean.
Because he can't stay clean.
Right? Maybe some of them want to recapture her to regain her powers.
Yes.
Like the high priest, because he doesn't want to die.
No.
He wants to stay young.
Needs that lich fuel.
Right? For whatever reason. Right? Emotional hindrances. There's probably many. She's been raised in the church her whole life, so she's probably naive. And when she's out in the world, she's probably scared and distrustful of the world and the people, because she's been told that they're all bad people and just want to use her for her powers and so forth.
Okay.
Right? And she's distrustful of all the outside world, and she doesn't know anything. Right? So that sort of makes it harder for her to actively explore, right? Find allies and so forth. Right? And then the last one I was like thinking about competing goals, competing motivations that she might have, sort of some inner sort of turmoil. Is that she wants to be good. She's raised in a certain way, saying that this is what good is, like healing and keeping people alive and so forth, right? But the other half of her power, of who she is, kind of, right, is based on death and decay and destruction. Right. And so those two sides of her are sort of fighting within her.
Okay.
It's something that she has to deal with. Right. And those are sort of problems that she has to deal with and that bother her. And with that, those three sets, I'm sort of satisfied that like I kind of have a good direction of and a sort of understanding of who the character is and how to role play this character going forward. Right. So again, that's the personal direction. Backstory, character direction, problems that hinder the character. Right, those four things.
Yeah.
And then when I came down to this, I'm like, oh wait, I don't have a name yet. Right, somewhat.
Okay.
And I found a name, and I guess I would like to introduce everyone to Oriel, the sunlit emissary. Yeah, and that is the level 2 Hexblade Warlock, level 1 Divine Sorcerer, variant human, with a pet owl as a familiar.
And apparently not named.
Pascal.
Oh, you're gonna keep not a chameleon at all. No, he's
an
feathers.
owl. Yeah.
I healed him of his reptilian nature.
And unlike Pascal, he can talk. He says, "Whoo."
Can he?
Whoo.
Only giant owls have a language.
Well, the owl can say who.
Who?
Exactly.
Can it?
Yeah.
It's a spirit. Anyway.
So yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's my process. Kind of a little bit backwards from yours.
Yeah. I also like that you specifically went for healing in a striker character, which is very interesting, instead of like trying to double down on the kind of output capabilities.
Well, that's the hair. Eldritch Blast hair, right, is the damage.
No.
Yeah.
I know. But going specifically Divine Soul Sorcerer to get healing capabilities, to be part of the lore and to be part of the flavor and whatnot, as opposed to kind of going for
everything else is striker.
Angrier hair, whatever that means.
I mean, that epic frying pan. Come on.
I do like the idea of a semi-sentient shard of, the Shadowfell or wherever these things come from, the Raven Queen's lair.
Yeah.
That's just like break eggs and skulls. So you're just like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Ready, Pascal? Let's go.
I mean, I had a tough time. I wanted to stick a rogue in there, a couple of rogue levels.
Rogues, right?
Because she's super scampery.
She's scampery.
And she like climbs everywhere. Like she uses her hair to like climb up things like super fast. So I wanted 3 levels of thief too, because they climb without losing any.
Oh, the thief subclass. Yes.
Subclass.
Yeah, was the second story work?
Yeah, and then she also uses random items all the time, so you get to use item as bonus action. That's great.
Yeah,
it's great, and you can use your hair to facilitate that. So you can use your hair as a weapon. You can use your hair as an item. Right? It's great. Like her, she can use hair for everything, like in the movie.
So you went magical archetype?
Yeah.
Or you martial archetype?
Magical.
Because I was going to say you could do the same thing with.
I mean, she's kind of both, right? She's magical. She's more magical, I think. Although she does do martially things, she's magical.
Yeah, I mean, you got a different background. What is your background?
The background, I was thinking either hermit, or maybe acolyte.
Right. Okay.
But probably hermit.
Oh, interesting.
And there's a truth that she knows, right? And that's something that
my hair is the best.
That her frying pan told her.
No, I like the. I mean, if you were to go rogue, she loses that whole church thing in the magical healing.
Well, you can add it, maybe
do like a whip. Her hair could be a whip.
I thought about whip. I thought about whip, but the Eldritch Blast goes further.
It certainly does.
And her hair is so long, right? So I thought that's great imagery of her using her hair, her super long hair. So I thought that was a fun little twist on the Eldritch Blast.
It is.
Cantrip.
It is. It's interesting. Now you got a frying pan and Eldritch Blast.
Like, what does your magic look like? Golden hair, right? Or glowing blue hair for the Moonstone Opal
stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that you build the vessel and then pour the stuff in, because you absolutely can.
Well, I built the idea and then I built the vessel to carry the idea, and then I make it interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's super weird.
But we kind of end up in similar places, right?
Yeah. It is interesting. It is interesting.
And I think there'll be viewers out there who might resonate with your way for sure. A lot of them. A lot of them will resonate with my way as well, I think.
Totally 0%.
Totally
zero, dude.
Zero to 100 in one step. One big step. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, I do agree. If you don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do? I don't know. Because I barely know how I do it.
Yeah.
And even conceiving of how you've gone through this over the past like 5 or 6 minutes has really is very interesting. Not only in where you got to, but the roads. Like when I used that metaphor before, right? Like you got to pave the road and then you draw the lines on and whatnot. You have drawn the lines and then kind of built the road underneath it. And then
it's so different.
I don't know. It's very interesting and very cool. And I understand more so now why it takes you forever. And primarily that's because of that extra conceptual steps that you take where you choose big ideas that don't fit in your vessel.
Yeah.
and you have to
Build a vessel around it.
But it's that non-physical dilution or kind of purification factor where you're trying to find the facet that's the most interesting to what it is that you're doing that will fit inside the question that you can ask or try to ask for this character to answer in the thing.
Yeah.
And that's super cool and super weird.
I know your way, I'm like, that makes me feel uncomfortable too.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't even know where you're going with this. It's how I feel.
Sure do.
But for you, it's step by step, right?
Yeah.
This. Yeah. Then when you go, you end up with where it's supposed to go all along, right?
And I suppose, one step that I didn't go into is developing that kind of whole question process that you go into and you actually talked a little bit more about. And in this case, I guess I kind of skipped that a little bit because I don't know the campaign.
Yep.
That we're settling in. And without that information, it's really difficult to ask these kind of questions.
Yep.
I like where you came from, though.
Yeah.
In setting that intention.
I mean, there is something that we don't have. A big part of the picture that we don't have because we don't have a campaign. We don't have the context.
Right.
We aren't able to ground our characters
in the world.
Correct. I thought, I'm like, it'd be really nice to have like some NPCs. Mm-hmm. Right? But I can't without knowing.
We've got one.
Pascal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you.
Sure do.
Yeah.
But I use the sidekick rules.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm not going for no found familiar.
Yeah. Pascal can die so many times I can keep bringing him back, though. That's the best part.
Ouch.
Yeah. Just be brutal.
Poor Pascal.
He likes it.
He gets lost in my hair sometime. Oh, it went blue. Oops.
Did Pascal die again? He's like, ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Poor bird. Poor bird.
He's a spirit now.
But yeah, jump in the comments. If you're like us, if you're different than us, let us know all that interesting inner working that you go through. And if you've never actually looked at your process, check it out. See what it is that you do.
Yeah.
And kind of maybe allow yourself time to analyze and break it apart. I know that I certainly will, because there's things that I feel like I need to expend upon in breaking it down and thinking about it. And I think since you asked for it, I will do the same and ask you to write up your system and how you do it. And I think in that process...
Character sheet too, I think.
Character sheet as well?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that means we got to roll stats.
Oh, yeah. Point by?
Standard array.
Standard array.
But totally fair.
Yeah.
Do what it is that you do for your tables, please. But no, I do like the concept, and I do like the idea of how things are different and how we work differently to achieve them. And in the process of writing out the process, you get to analyze.
I've never written out the process.
I've never written it out either, and it's really uncomfortable that now I need to kind of share my vulnerability and just kind of lay it out bare for everybody to be like, nuh-uh. This is better, and deal with that. Except I feel like I'm awesome and I'm comfortable in that. So I'm just going to prepare.
You can't even read.
I can't. Well, he couldn't read.
Right.
Yeah. It's sad.
But let us know what you guys thought of our process. Is it weird? Is it right? Is it interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be. Now that we've put ourselves out there, I don't know if I'm eager for the feedback, but I'm interested in knowing.
I'm super eager for the feedback. I'm always looking at improving
Yeah.
and refining the system and making it better. I'm interested in seeing what next we might have to bear out.
Oh, if you guys have any more challenges, let us know. This one was interesting, even though it was stressful because it was only 4 days.
Yeah, give Sean at least 4.5 days. And then he won't be quite as nervous.
Yeah. You should make a character based on a horror monster.
Oh?
Or a celebrity?
It's fun.
Or a piece of furniture?
Let us know. Furniture. Furniture.
Appliance?
Appliance.
Has to be a PC character.
Yeah. I'm inspired by my Maytag dishwasher.
Yeah. Give us a challenge. Challenge us. What next should we do?
And if you think that a particular challenge would be great for Sean or I, let us know specifically. Try and give us both one, because if one person's busy and the other person's not,
Yeah.
that person gets to drink delicious lemonade, and that's not fair. No, challenge us individually, and maybe we need some content and fodder for our live streams that are coming up soon, perhaps.
Oh, we can build the character together.
And we can do it together. So let us know what you would like to see and some of the stuff that you'd like us to talk about, and we will do that because it's all good, Brent.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this jaunt into the Disney D&D crossover. This has been Caffeine and Cantrips.
Yeah, I was Byron, and that there was Sean,
Yeah.
and we will catch you next time.
Or else.
Let's make this world do everything you say.
Cool.
You're cool. Oh, that's recorded.
Yeah, it is. Wah wah.